Welcome to the Course Creators Podcast with course design expert Jenny Rice. Whether you're an experienced creator or just starting out, this podcast helps build courses that resonate, transform, and make an impact. Each episode, we'll explore strategies and tips to help you create engaging, successful courses. Let's dive in.
Hi, this is Jenny Rice from Course Creators Podcast. I'm really excited about our guest today. We've got Sonia Tiwari from Children's Media Research from Everyone AI. So welcome, Sonia.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Jenny.
Why don't you start a little bit tell me about yourself and your background.
Yeah, so I started my career as a character designer in the gaming industry, and one of the studios had an internal research team, and I had frequent conversations with them about how can I use child developmental science to inform all of the design work that I was doing. And that kind of sparked my interest into a PhD program. So then I pivoted to children's media research, and now I kind of live on that intersection of design and research.
That's so exciting. What a fascinating background and a unique perspective you have on that piece of it, right?
Yeah, and I think I was broadly thinking about character designs in general, in books, TV, films. And so around 2021, when AI became a topic of conversation in the Bay Area, I pivoted to AI character design, thinking about how are children impacted by interactions with these characters.
That's amazing. So as I understand it, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that you develop characters for children to perceive and interact with AI characters. Is that correct?
Yeah, and so AI characters could take the form of animated chatbots, smart speakers, social robots, and any fictional character that children can interact with back and forth.
And what is the age range of children you typically work with or represent?
5 to 8 is my usual general children's media research. But I think the bigger concern right now is for the older children, so 13 to 18. So I kind of compartmentalize my research in those two buckets.
That's great because they do have different needs, different perceptions. And I know from 0 to 7, we're in theta brainwaves. So very different. We absorb them when we're older in our teenage years, right? So
right.
That's really exciting. So why don't you explain a little bit more some of the services that you offer and how you work with clients?
Yeah, so I've been a children's media research consultant for about 8 years. And there's this one course that I have taught at Penn State University in the past called Learning Design Studio, which is just a space for interdisciplinary educational professionals like instructional designers, learning experience designers. Some are academic education researchers and K-12 teachers as well. And it's a collaborative space where they bring their work in progress projects from their day jobs. So it's not like a typical student course where there's an assignment and everyone is working on the same thing. It's more like a lab-oriented practical course where everyone brings their work in progress projects. And then we use lenses of education to kind of unpack their projects, really think about the underlying learning principles, how might it impact the students in a positive way. And what I love about this course is that I leverage the lived experience of these educators. And it's very layered because you're educating educators who are already domain experts. But sometimes, we're so fine-tuned into our own little bubble, our own micro-specialization, that it's nice to then get an outsider's perspective and give us constructive feedback in that open space.
Yeah, that's great. And what I love about this is that, like you said, you're educating educators, but you're also getting them to do something with what you're educating them on. So you talked about a shared forum where they give each other feedback or you give them feedback or whatever, so that they can do something with what they're learning, which is so critical.
Right. And yeah, in the future, I plan to offer a version of this course on my own in the sense that just holding space for learning designers and educators to come together and bring their work in progress projects. Because outside of the university system, it's hard for especially like senior designers to find that kind of community. And for the official projects, it's all NDA'd, so you often
Mm.
don't get to bring the industry projects into these collaborative spaces. But many learning designers have their personal projects, and it can be isolating in trying to navigate that personal project just alone,
Hmm.
because workplace is not the place to discuss your personal projects, and outside of your workplace it's hard to bump into other learning designers who might give you some feedback. So yeah, I'm looking forward to creating that kind of collaborative space.
That's great. I love the word you use, collaborative, because I really believe that developing course or content should not be done in a vacuum on your own because I don't know about you, but I think while I talk. And so, talking to yourself just doesn't work. So having somebody to bounce ideas around and give you feedback and input makes so much more value and moves you along, in your progress so dramatically because you're not spinning in your own little thought space or going around and around saying, I'm confused. So that's great that you provide that forum for people then to meet up, collaborate, give each other feedback, and learn from each other, right? So
Yeah.
that's
And
great.
also, like the one of the challenges in that kind of course is that you have completely different stakeholders. So, for example, there are people who create or like produce the ed tech, and then there's someone from like a school district who is a potential buyer of those technologies. And usually these groups don't collide as much. Or like if you're an ed tech founder and you want to talk to a VC, there's like this very Mr. Burns from The Simpsons kind of image of VCs
Mhm.
that, they're not emotionally invested in the idea of education. They're just here for the profits.
Mhm.
And so sometimes when I get these kind of different stakeholders in the same room, there's just a lot of beauty in humanizing the other side instead of just assuming a stereotype.
Yeah, that's great. And then you think outside the box, you get some creative input, you do different things, right?
Yeah.
And as you said, sometimes as independent contractors, learning designers, working on your own can be difficult because it's so nice to work with other people, get ideas, and get juiced by that input, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I love that you're doing that and providing that service, even more, giving out more to the community and collaboration, which is great. So have you had any challenges that you faced in either working with this forum, creating courses that you could share and how you overcame them?
I think one of the big takeaways for me was to have a structured improvisation, which is a term introduced by the researcher Keith Sawyer, where instead of, it's kind of like jazz, there's an underlying architecture, but on top of it, there's improvisation. And so with typical undergraduate or grad students, sometimes the courses need to be very structured because it's a large group of people and almost like homogeneous goals in their program. But when you're working with professionals from completely different backgrounds, it's hard to have a very rigid structure. So I appreciate that, there's some guidance, but then there's room for improvisation. That has been really value in redesigning the course.
That's great. What a good input. I love that. A little bit of structure, a little bit of improvisation. So you have like a structure to go, but then you can, change your course a little bit if needed. So which is really great. What a great way to use those language. I love those words. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. So as we end this podcast, any tips you have for other course creators or people thinking of joining a collaborative or working together with other people that we could share with our listeners?
I think doing some homework before you design a course really helps. There might be, if you're in a university system, there might still be a version of that course being offered on Coursera, Skillshare, any of like the public platforms. And so reading the reviews of people who have taken a very similar course is a nice reality check because, especially in a university system, sometimes um, you're in this kind of weird silo where you feel like, well, I'm the first one to design this course ever. So I'm going to build everything from scratch. And maybe we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Maybe there's data out there pointing to things that have been valuable to our target communities. And so leveraging or prioritizing that in the design is already helpful. And then, of course, like talking to the students or having access to some early responses, gut check, initial questionnaire survey data from the actual audience that you're planning to design a course for. Utilizing that information in the design is key so that you're not designing for an imaginary audience, but contextualizing very specifically from the start.
Oh, I firmly support that. And knowing your audience, I love surveys because not only you engage in them in the input, but you're also, I guess, a pre-launch in a way announcement, say, hey, this is coming, I want your input. They're going to go, oh, I'm part of the solution. And I get to learn when the course is done. So knowing your audience and targeting them, their needs is so important. So well said. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, it's been great having you. And you have such a unique perspective because of what you're doing is so specialized, but it's so cool too. So it's really nice to hear all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great. So thank you so much, Sonia, for being on this podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so this is Jenny Rice, the Course Creators Podcast, again with our special guest today, Sonia Tiwari. So thank you again, Sonia.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Course Creators Podcast. For more insights and to connect with a community of creators, join our Course Creator channel on The Great Discovery. We offer both free and premium memberships. Check the link below. Until next time, keep creating, inspiring, and transforming lives.